Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome back, everyone. You know how this works. We take the answer from a Quizzypedia question, and we do a deep dive into the topic.
So for today, we're looking at season 207.
Question 11.
Right?
And the category is...
TV shows.
The question is, what is the name of the cult classic TV show that aired for just one season?
Oh, between 1999 and 2000?
Exactly. Between 1999 and 2000, following a group of high school misfits in the early 1980s. Despite its short run, this show, produced by Judd Apatow, helped launch the careers of actors like James Franco, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, Martin Starr, and Linda Cardellini, and is praised for its authentic portrayal of teenage life.
Sounds familiar.
Well, the answer is Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks, a classic. Only one season.
I know. It's incredible how much of an impact it had. It might surprise you to learn that this show, set in a Michigan high school in the early 1980s, really captures the feel of that time period.
It really does. The creators paid incredible attention to detail. Everything from the clothes and the music to how the characters talk to each other. It all just feels so genuine to the early 80s.
It's like a time capsule.
Exactly.
The show centers around the Weir siblings, Lindsay and Sam. Lindsay starts as a straight-A student, but she finds herself drawn to a group of freaks.
That's a pretty common theme in high school stories.
Definitely. And then you have her younger brother, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
He's just trying to navigate freshman year as a self-proclaimed geek.
You know what's interesting about Freaks and Geeks, though? It doesn't stick to those typical high school stereotypes.
That's true.
The line between who's a freak and who's a geek isn't as clear as you might think. Both groups are just figuring things out, trying to find their place.
And the cast is phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. So many of them became huge stars.
It's almost like watching a who's who of Hollywood.
Yeah, you've got James Franco, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, Linda Cardellini, John Francis Daley, Martin Starr, and Busy Phillips.
It's actually pretty cool how many of them have continued to work together.
Like on different projects, right?
It's like Freaks and Geeks created this comedic family tree. But the real question is why this show, which only lasted for one season, has become such a cult classic.
I think a big part of it is the honesty. Unlike so many teen shows that try to paint high school as this perfect time in your life.
Right, everything's so glamorous and fun.
Exactly. But Freaks and Geeks shows the good and the bad.
The awkward moments.
The heartache.
The struggles that everyone goes through.
And I think people really connected with that.
It definitely felt more real.
Plus, getting canceled after just 18 episodes probably didn't hurt.
No, I imagine that left a lot of fans wanting more.
And wanting to talk about it.
Exactly, like what could have been.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, with DVDs and streaming, new generations have been able to discover it.
It's like it keeps finding new audiences.
It does. But there's something deeper that makes Freaks and Geeks so enduring. What are some of those themes that resonate with people even today?
I think it boils down to those universal experiences we all have as teenagers.
Figuring out who you are.
Dealing with peer pressure.
Trying to find your place.
Navigating family relationships.
Exactly. No matter what generation you're from.
You go through those things.
The show feels so authentic.
Like it could have been filmed in any high school.
It really captures those feelings of being a teenager.
You can relate to Lindsay questioning her place in the world or Sam trying to find his voice.
So well said. Now, we know Judd Apatow was a producer, but who else played a big part in shaping the show?
Well, Paul Feig, the creator, drew heavily from his own high school experiences.
That explains why the storylines feel so personal and real.
And when you combine his vision with Judd Apatow's comedic style, you get this perfect mix of humor and heart.
And it's interesting how they handle some pretty sensitive topics with humor.
But it never feels like they're making light of them.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I think the writing team did a phenomenal job with that.
They really found a balance. They addressed things like body image, bullying, and family dysfunction.
But with wit and empathy.
It's refreshing. They don't shy away from these difficult conversations, but they handle them with a sense of understanding and compassion.
And the directing also plays a role in that.
How so?
Well, they focus on capturing those small, natural interactions between the characters.
The little moments.
It makes the show feel more like real life.
It does. And it allows the characters' emotions to shine through, making them feel so relatable.
Like you're right there with them.
Exactly. But even with all the praise, Freaks and Geeks faced some challenges behind the scenes, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Network pressure was a big one.
In what way?
Well, NBC, the network that aired Freaks and Geeks,
Okay.
they kept changing the show's time slot
Oh, that's never good.
It made it really hard for the show to find a consistent audience.
I bet.
And it seemed like the executives just didn't quite get what the show was about.
Interesting. How so?
Like they struggled to market it effectively.
I see. So despite the critical acclaim and the growing fan base, the network interference made it hard for Freaks and Geeks to really take off.
Yeah, and that ultimately led to its cancellation.
It's a shame.
It is, but the fact that people still talk about Freaks and Geeks and new viewers are discovering it all the time,
Right.
it really shows you how special the show is.
It does. And the show did receive some awards recognition along the way.
Oh, for sure. In 2000, Freaks and Geeks actually won an Emmy.
Wow, that's impressive.
For outstanding casting for a comedy series.
That makes sense given how talented the cast is.
Definitely. And it was also nominated for a couple other Emmys.
Like what?
Including one for outstanding writing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for the pilot episode.
So its quality was recognized by the industry.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget all the greatest TV shows lists that Freaks and Geeks has landed on over the years.
You see it pop up on those all the time.
From big publications like Time and TV Guide.
It seems like its reputation just keeps growing.
Yeah, it does. It's a true cult classic, and its appeal reaches across generations. It's amazing how well Freaks and Geeks captures those timeless parts of being a teenager.
Even though it's set in such a specific period.
It's like a snapshot of what it feels like to be that age.
The awkward moments.
First heartbreaks.
Figuring out who you are.
Those are things everyone can relate to.
No matter when you grew up.
It's true. And the show's exploration of social dynamics, especially in high school.
The cliques.
The social hierarchy.
Trying to fit in.
All of that is still so relevant today.
Certain things about high school never seem to change, do they?
No, they don't. And Freaks and Geeks really taps into that shared experience.
It shows that those core emotions and challenges of adolescence are universal.
Exactly. Trends in technology might change, but the feelings stay the same.
And one of the things that sets Freaks and Geeks apart is its honesty.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't try to pretend that everything about being a teenager is easy or fun.
They show the awkwardness,
The heartbreak.
the confusion, because that's part of growing up.
That honesty is what makes it so relatable.
Even if you didn't grow up in the 80s, you can still see yourself in those characters.
You can connect with those feelings.
That's why Freaks and Geeks is considered a classic.
Because it speaks to that core human experience.
And it reminds us that even though everyone's life is different, we often face similar challenges.
And the show celebrates the underdog.
The misfit.
The person who's just looking for their place in the world.
Exactly. And it shows that often the people who don't fit in are the ones who have the most potential to grow.
To discover who they really are.
The characters in Freaks and Geeks are so real.
They have flaws.
They make mistakes.
They question themselves.
And it's through those imperfections that they become relatable.
Even endearing.
And the way the show finds humor in these difficult or awkward moments.
That's a testament to the writers.
It's not easy to do that well.
They strike a balance.
They don't make light of the characters' emotions or the seriousness of the situation.
But the humor always feels natural.
It comes from the characters and the situations they're in.
It never feels forced or out of place.
Because we recognize those moments.
We've all been there.
We can see ourselves in those situations.
So we laugh because we get it.
We can relate to the absurdity of it all.
And beyond the individual characters, Freaks and Geeks also dives into those complex family relationships.
Oh, definitely. The Weir family especially gives you an interesting look at family dynamics.
You see the parents dealing with their own issues.
And trying to figure out how to support their kids through adolescence.
It's nice to see a show that portrays parents as real people.
It's flaws.
Insecurity.
Sequels of their own.
It's not just the parents, though.
Right. The relationship between Lindsay and Sam is so well done.
They argue.
They compete.
Yeah, but ultimately they support each other.
That dynamic is so relatable for anyone who has siblings.
It's a reminder that family relationships are complicated.
There's love.
And conflict.
But that underlying connection.
Exactly. And the show doesn't shy away from the hard parts of family life.
Like communication breakdowns.
Generational differences.
Trying to balance individual needs with family togetherness.
All of that is so real.
But even with those challenges, Freaks and Geeks ultimately shows how important family is.
As a source of love.
Support. The Weirs might be messy.
They disagree.
But they're always there for each other.
That foundation of unconditional love is what helps Lindsay and Sam navigate the ups and downs of being teenagers.
It gives them the strength to face those challenges.
And beyond the family, the show also looks at that wider social landscape of high school.
That's right.
You have all those familiar elements.
Decent cliques.
The social hierarchy.
That constant battle for social status.
It captures it all so well.
It's like a mini version of society.
With all its good and bad.
And the show doesn't sugarcoat the cruelty that can exist within that system.
You see characters getting bullied.
Ostracized.
Yeah.
Judged.
Based on superficial things.
It's a tough reality. But at the same time, the show celebrates that joy of finding your people.
Those who accept you.
For who you are.
The friendships that form between the freaks and geeks show the power of finding your tribe.
Your people.
Those who share your values.
And understand your perspective.
Even if you don't fit in with the mainstream.
Those friendships provide a sense of belonging.
The validation.
Which are so crucial when you're figuring out who you are.
Especially during those tough teenage years.
The show does a great job of portraying those friendships in a way that's heartwarming and inspiring.
You see the characters supporting each other.
Offering advice.
Just being there for one another.
It's a great reminder that true friendship can transcend those social barriers.
And become a lifeline during those years when you're trying to find your place.
Absolutely. And the show's take on teenage romance is insightful, too.
You see those crushes.
Hard.
That awkwardness of first love.
All the complexities that come with it.
Freaks and Geeks captures that first attraction.
The excitement of a new romance.
The devastation of unrequited love.
Or a broken heart.
And it does it all with this sense of realism that's refreshing.
They're not trying to romanticize or idealize teenage love.
It's messy.
Confusing.
Heartbreaking.
But it's all a part of growing up.
And the show doesn't just focus on traditional heterosexual relationships.
It explores different aspects of sexual identity and attraction.
Which was pretty groundbreaking for a network show at that time.
It was.
It shows how committed Freaks and Geeks was to representing the diversity of the teenage experience.
That adolescence isn't one size fits all.
It's a unique journey for everyone.
Shaped by your personality.
Background.
Circumstances.
And by embracing that diversity, the show created a world that feels inclusive and relatable.
It gives a voice to characters who might not have been represented on TV otherwise.
That commitment to authenticity is a big reason why people are still drawn to Freaks and Geeks today.
It celebrates individuality and encourages you to be yourself.
Even if that means standing out from the crowd.
And it continues to inspire creators and viewers alike.
To tell stories that reflect the truth of what it means to be human.
Even if that truth is messy or complicated. You know, it's pretty amazing how much influence Freaks and Geeks has had on the entertainment industry.
It really is. So many of the people who worked on the show, both in front of and behind the camera, went on to have incredible careers.
It's like Freaks and Geeks was a breeding ground for talent.
Definitely. We talked earlier about how Judd Apatow became a comedic powerhouse.
Right, directing and producing huge hits like The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Bridesmaids.
And he often brings those Freaks and Geeks actors into his projects.
It's true. It's like they're all part of this extended comedic family.
Exactly. Think about Seth Rogen, for example. He co-wrote Superbad. And you can definitely see the Freaks and Geeks influence in that movie.
Oh, totally. That kind of awkward coming-of-age humor.
And then you have James Franco, who's had, well, a very interesting career.
To say the least.
But he's also earned critical acclaim for his roles in films like 127 Hours and The Disaster Artist. He's shown he can do both comedy and drama.
For sure. And Jason Segel's done the same, balancing comedy and drama.
He's great in comedies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall and The Muppets, but he also showed his serious side in How I Met Your Mother.
And Linda Cardellini has built a career on giving really strong performances, whether it's in TV shows like ER and Bloodline, or films like the Oscar-winning Green Book.
They've all had remarkable careers, and it's not just the actors either.
Right. The writers and directors from Freaks and Geeks have gone on to do amazing things, too.
Paul Feig, the show's creator, went on to direct those hugely popular comedies, Bridesmaids and The Heat.
And Jake Kasdan, who is a writer and director on Freaks and Geeks, directed those Jumanji movies, which were box office smashes.
It's incredible how much talent came out of that one show. It really speaks to the show's legacy.
Definitely. Even though it was short-lived, its impact is still felt today. Critics loved it, fans still adore it, and it clearly helped launch so many successful careers.
It's a testament to the power of telling authentic stories. Freaks and Geeks capture the realities of being a teenager in a way that still resonates with people today, and that's what makes it such a classic.
Absolutely. It's a show that reminds us that even though those teenage years can be tough, they're also full of humor, heart, and those moments where you really start to figure out who you are.
Well said. And that wraps up our deep dive into Freaks and Geeks. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.